Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Boss Talks. I'm your host, Evan Happel with Community Boss, and we have a great episode for you today. Wendy Tucker, she is out of the Carolinas. Now I'm blanking on which one, but she'll correct me. I'm pretty sure South Carolina. Is that right? Maybe? Yes, she's shaking her head. Thank goodness. All right, but she is out of the Carolinas, and she is with CLS Living, newly branded because she was added to add the residential division, multifamily, and probably other parts of residential in there. But CLS as a company has historically been about student, and they are getting in the conventional game. So she is being added for that purpose. They're bringing her expertise to jump in that world and make a go of all things multifamily. So super excited to have Wendy here today. Her role is Vice President of Operations. And so been in the industry for a while and just well respected, as I can tell, by so many people. So super excited to have her and talk to her more today. Before we get there, I'm again your host, Evan Happel. We have great solutions at Community Boss, whether it's parking boss, amenity boss, welcome boss. If you have some things you need to tackle and make better for your residents and your managers, we have some solutions for you, making those physical spaces better, a better experience for your residents. So let me know if you need to know any more about that. But today it's about Wendy. And to bring her in, we got ourselves some Miley Cyrus, Party in the USA. So get ready.
I hopped off the plane at LAX with a dream, my cardigan. Welcome to the land of fame excess. Am I gonna fit in? Jumped in the cab, here I am for the first time. Look to my right and I see the Hollywood sign. This is all so crazy. Everybody seems so famous. My tummy's turning and I'm feeling kinda homesick. Too much pressure and I'm nervous. That's when the taxi man turned on the radio and a Jay-Z song was on. And the Jay-Z song was on. And the Jay-Z song was on. So I put my hands
get those hands up.
the butterflies fly away. Nodding my head like yeah. Moving my hips like yeah. Got my hands up to play my song.
All right, Wendy. Thanks for being here.
I was trying to sit on my hands and not dance or
Oh,
sing
you
out
should have
loud.
danced. Oh, all of it. All of it. That's why we're here. We're having a party on Boss Talks. This isn't just, let's talk shop and we're not trying to bore people here on Boss Talks. This is supposed to be fun.
Right.
This is supposed to be a good time. We got to show some personality, let people know who you are. So glad we already have Megan. Do you know Megan?
Sure do.
Okay. You're seeing the comments, I hope.
I do. Yes, I was able to see those over on the side, so we're good. Hey, Megan.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for joining. I hope you got up and danced while you saw Wendy join the show. But what is it about Party in the USA that is your go-to song?
I think it's the energy. It's lively. It's energetic. It's kind of loud, a little edgy. There, I think just Miley is kind of crazy. So
yeah,
all the things.
She's become, she's gotten older. I think she's mellowed out a little bit, but yeah, yeah. And they got Missy Riley.
See. Down in Florida. Hey, Missy.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Absolutely. Glad we have a little bit of a crowd forming. That's awesome. Thanks for supporting Wendy. All right. And let us know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see where people are tuning in from. So if you could do that in the comments, that'd be great. If you have any questions or comments along the way, be sure to put them in the chat because we can see them and share them and answer them. So let's do it. All right, Wendy. So we got the music out of the way. The next question I have is around parking. Now, as a company, we have solutions that engage with that. So I like to ask you, from your perspective, your experience in the industry, maybe you have a story or an anecdote when it comes to parking that you want to share with people.
Parking can be such a hot commodity at multifamily properties. I think probably one of the more challenging parking scenarios that I've had maybe over my career had helped to open a mid-rise development in downtown Charleston. It's one of the first multifamily communities that had built in many, many, many years down on the peninsula. And a structured parking garage, retail component on the first floor. And, like most developers, it's not a one parking spot per unit ratio. And so we ended up with some tandem spaces.
Okay.
And we didn't have a lot of roommates. And so, or, 2-person households. And so had to work out renting those tandem spaces front to back with residents from different apartments and help them to coordinate who's moving out, or who needs to pull out first, who comes in first. And just a real challenge. I don't know that we ended up with a perfect solution, but in addition to that, there was parking on the ground floor for the retail tenants and their guests. And so I think there were a lot of lessons learned with that developer in downtown Charleston, just over that parking scenario altogether.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So was your average just one spot per unit? Or was it
Not
even
at that
less?
development? No, it was less than that. I think I think the ratio was like a 0.8 spaces per unit. And I think when development, whatever fits on the plot is what fits, right? And you can only build up so high in Charleston. And I think we had all thought that there would be more students. It was not a student community, but more students, more workforce housing residents that would maybe be walking to work to commute, or take some sort of public transit down on the peninsula, so that there would be less people with cars. That was not the case. Was not the case. So yeah, it became a real challenge to manage.
Yeah, that stinks. I really think it's hilarious that when we build stuff, we think, you know what? If we only provide this amount, that's all they're going to want.
Yeah, no, definitely not the case. I mean, and, now you've got people that have, electric cars, and so they need to be closer to, a station, or if there's an opportunity to do premium parking spaces or reserve spaces and that kind of thing. So a lot of other solutions that are out there. And of course, Community Boss is a great way to do it. But those tandem spaces can be pretty tough if it's not a roommate or a spousal kind of situation. And I think, developers, I think, are definitely getting smarter these days. At least maybe there's an ingress, you don't just have one way into those 2 tandem spaces front to back, so that people can pull through. But we didn't have that luxury.
Well, and I think historically it was harder to monetize parking. And so it was just this sunk cost that it was like, let's do as little as possible because parking space is expensive. And it is. But
for sure.
But if you can monetize it, then, it becomes less of a burden, or less of a sunk cost, in the asset. So anyways, yeah, it's wild when you hear 0.8. Good luck with that.
You can rent this beautiful, space, all these great amenities, but you can't bring your car.
Right. Yep. Sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future. I do know young people these days are less inclined to get a car or get even a license.
Definitely, even not even getting licenses. I've operated in some markets where, associates that are coming to us to be hired don't have them. And,
Yeah.
and a lot of management companies, we require that type of, not so much as an identification, but they are going to be doing business oftentimes offsite the property, whether it's marketing or outreach events or, what have you. And so we require those driver's licenses. So, it's sometimes a tough thing to work around.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, we'll see what the future holds in general with employment
Right.
and everything. But anyways, well, thanks for sharing your 2 cents about that. And then finally, when it comes to your caffeinated beverage of choice, what's your go-to?
A little embarrassed to say this because I am definitely a coffee junkie. Love my coffee. My fiance is more of a bougie coffee drinker than I am. And he has this amazing machine that's even Wi-Fi capable from his phone. But so I love it when I'm at his house because that's my favorite coffee. And it's an Americano with a double shot of espresso, little drizzle of caramel, and some frothed milk.
Nice.
Yeah. And it, a big cup.
Yeah.
Hold it with 2 hands kind of thing.
Do you have a specific roast that you prefer?
I found a bean from Italy last year on a solo trip and have ordered bags and bags of that. And it's like De Grassi. I'm probably not pronouncing it right. But it's their espresso blend, comes in a really big bag. It's like $40 a bag. But it's my absolute favorite coffee when I can find it.
Nice. I mean, I say you find a good coffee, you make it yourself. You're actually still saving money. So
you definitely are.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I'm riding through a Starbucks drive-through, I also have the same thing that I usually get there, and it's an iced vanilla latte with an extra shot of espresso. So if I need to do something a little bit more tame.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing. And you just slid that in there, fiance, and you're getting married soon.
Did in a couple of months. Got engaged earlier this year, and he and I are kind of eloping. I guess it's not really eloping if people know where you're getting married and when, but nobody else is going to be invited.
Okay.
We're getting married in Asheville at the Biltmore Village Inn at the end of October, and I just learned yesterday that week that we're there is prime fall color. So I am super, super excited that'll be our backdrop for our wedding.
Nice. And soon to be a new name?
Yeah, the whole hyphenated thing was important to me so many years ago. I kept my dad's last name and my father's son's name. So I'm dropping the hyphenated, but I'm moving my Olsen to my middle name, and my new last name will be Wilson. So my initials are going to be Wow.
That's beautiful.
I kind of like that. I'm going to put it on everything, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to monogram everything.
Bring in the wow. You know what I mean? That's awesome. Wendy's going to be bringing the wow everywhere, guys. So just get ready.
Look out.
And to a degree, I mean, one of your first topics was about speaking and being in front of people and building up that muscle and that skill set. And you've really taken it upon yourself to do that. And finding your voice is a big part of what we're going to talk about today. And you've become pretty passionate about it to the extent that you're really moving towards a certain goal. Where are you headed towards?
Put it out there, because then I've got other people to hold me accountable.
Oh, that means you have to.
Right? You do. You absolutely do. And you have to write it down. And I've got it written down in all kinds of places. And a couple of friends of mine, including Missy Riley, that's on the phone, taught me about manifestation and putting that thing right on your mirror where you see it every day. I am hoping to take a stage with a TedX at some point. And over the last couple of months have kind of been doing some personal development and have joined a group called MicDrop Club, which is a public speaking club specifically designed for women. And we get candid feedback from one another when we're together. They have in-person workshops, they've got virtual workshops. And, so each each time that we meet, we're covering kind of a different aspect of being on stage or being in front of an audience. And so it could be eye contact, or it could be your hand gestures, because I'm very animated. I have to sit on my hands a lot.
Me too.
Right? It could be, letting go of those nervous tics, filler words, those kinds of things. And then just being able to give each other candid feedback on what resonated, maybe if there were distractions and that kind of thing. And starting by picking a topic that you're passionate about, something that's easy for you to talk about, so you convey that kind of passion. And so I've been really, really excited. Have met some amazing women over the last 6 or so months through this MicDrop Club, and have enlisted some friends and industry peers to also join and get involved. But prior to that, I did Toastmasters years ago. And I've recommended this to so many people on different teams of mine over the years, that if you need to establish some confidence, help with maybe stage presence, and doesn't have to necessarily be in that kind of environment, but if you're leading a board of directors for the Charleston Apartment Association, which is why I started Toastmasters years ago, I wanted something that was going to help develop me as a presenter and a speaker to an audience of people maybe that I didn't know or didn't have as much in common with. And that really kind of set the stage for me kind of coming into my own and being comfortable in that setting. And, we would be given impromptu topics to speak at in front of the club, others that you might have a week to prepare. You had certainly a defined couple of minutes that you would have to be able to present, and you speak on that. You can open up for questions, but we learned how to open, how to engage with the audience, what movement people really lock into, and you got immediate feedback from the group. And it wasn't all positive, right? But it was to help develop and make you more comfortable and better in that environment. And this MicDrop Club has done the exact same thing. And so just at a different age for me, because I did Toastmasters, 15 years ago, and MicDrop is now. So, but it's been very, very helpful. And so, in addition to, reading great books and all of these kinds of things, this helps me to develop my own presence. And so I use a lot of that knowledge and those nuggets that I've learned along the way, even if I'm, let's say, at a cocktail party or I'm at an industry event, and just being able to speak on something kind of off the cuff and being comfortable, having that executive presence, if you will. And so it's just been invaluable to have joined that. And my sessions of the workshop with the MicDrop Club are technically over. I'm still in contact with these people and still attending some of the things, and working up to maybe taking the stage one day with a TEDx. We'll see.
For sure.
Yeah, we'll see.
Everybody watching today and in the future, next time you see Wendy, you got to ask her about, so when are you doing your TEDx?
As long as I get to come out to the Miley Cyrus song, we're golden.
Beautiful. If you need a DJ,
I might dance, right?
Okay. No, yeah. If you need a DJ, I'm available. Just let me know. I can play that song. Noted. Even if it's just on my phone. I can do that. So what made you in the beginning to even get involved in Toastmasters, and would you say you were always a good speaker to a degree, or is this a muscle you had to work at?
You had to work at that. I think that when I decided to go into Toastmasters in the very first time, I was still in a regional manager role in the business, and had my set of properties and my audience and my clients and my teams, and wasn't really exposed or needing to be exposed rather to like larger groups of people where I would need to be speaking to, right? So the people that I was presenting to or speaking to were people that I had established relationships with. I was already comfortable. But when I started getting really involved with the local apartment association and joined the board of directors, and started kind of moving up into different seats on the board of directors, knew that my presence needed to probably be developed a little bit more. And if I was going to also be leading this group of individuals, I needed to know how to connect with those people, how to be persuasive in your conversation, right? To get people to help follow me. And so decided to do Toastmasters when I think I was the vice president at the time. I was serving underneath Marissa Raymond, who a lot of people know in the industry, and she's a dear friend, and decided to do Toastmasters, and it was just wildly valuable. And so had that underneath my belt, and continued through that program when I was elected president and served a couple of terms. And so I think it served me really very well. And then just decided that I kind of liked the limelight, to be honest. And so, just looked for other opportunities, whether it was, with the association or, in an affiliate kind of scenario in the industry, and, would present and do, training classes for not just my teams as a regional level, but, others. And, anytime I could take a more active role from, whoever I was working with at the time, to help do presenting or, award ceremony. I mean, I was raising my hand, just really, really enjoyed doing that.
Nice. Well, and I think when you're trained and work the muscles, and it's kind of like when you are an athlete and you train really hard, and then in the future, you don't do it as much anymore, but you have that muscle memory almost, right? You have that training, you're able to then get up in front of people with a little bit more confidence and ability, right? It's not like you necessarily have to continue doing it. Although I know a lot of people, they stick with Toastmasters and they just keep on going to the meetings, and, that's, helps them and helps them refine themselves.
With Toastmasters, it was people from all walks of life. One of the other individuals that was in my Toastmasters chapter happened to be my biology teacher from high school, right? And I think at the time I was probably the youngest person in that chapter of Toastmasters here in town. There was somebody that was retired Army something or another, business owners. Again, this biology teacher from 20 years prior was in here. And so, different walks of life at different experience levels, and being able to take their feedback was, again, just invaluable, because people pick up on different things. Mm-hmm. And so, it was great. It was great.
Absolutely. So you said a few things that I think maybe people wouldn't even realize that doing Toastmasters or working on your speaking would help you with. First thing I picked up on is that you were talking about, like, you're at an event, networking. I think it's, from my own experience, and I'm an introvert, so I've had to work on this, in this type of dynamic. But from my experience, when you go to places, so often people are not very good in those settings. They don't really know how to engage in conversation or ask questions. So I think a lot of people think that, I can't be good at it. So maybe speak to that. What are some tips, maybe even, that you've learned that could help people when it comes to networking and engaging in those maybe awkward settings?
First of all, is you have to put on your brave, right? Other people in the crowd are probably feeling the same way that you are, right? Yeah. Maybe they're a little bit introverted, or they don't know how to open a conversation. If you're at an industry event, you're all there for kind of the same thing, right? Doesn't matter what side of the table you sit on, whether you're in operations and management, you're on the vendor partner side, it really doesn't matter. You're there for kind of the same reasons. And so, put your brave on, strike up a conversation. Nobody's going to know you and your history the way you do. And so, I would just encourage people to put on their brave, make introductions, shake hands. In advance of that, maybe you do kind of practice your elevator speech on who you are and what you do for the company or organization that you're with. because that will lend to other conversations and other things that you'll be even more versed at, because it's so common and common to you. One thing that at a prior organization that we had done, we started training our regional managers to be comfortable in those settings. And even if you weren't going to a client pitch where you were pitching for new business, but was to practice that elevator pitch, that elevator speech. My name is, and this is what I do for my company, and I bring value through these ways. And so I think learning to develop what's comfortable so that it sounds authentic, it feels authentic when you're expressing those things about yourself in an introduction, again, is going to help, tear the guards down. You'll get a little bit more brave each time you do it. People are not going to judge you, right? If you flub on your words. I'm sure I've flubbed on my words here already. Hopefully I didn't drop a curse word, because sometimes that slips out too. But I mean, but just find your brave and just be prepared to have some of those impromptu conversations. People aren't going to judge. And, I would say too, find a mentor or two. Someone that you really trust, doesn't have to be in the business necessarily, but find someone that you really trust that can give you candid feedback. If you need to practice your elevator speech or practice going into a pitch or a presentation, talk with people that are going to give you that good candid feedback. I have a couple people in my corner that I do that with, and they do the same with me oftentimes. I want to make sure that, am I sitting on my hands? Am I not saying this? Wendy, you're not making good eye contact, or, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And when it comes to those networking events, I've learned even just having a couple questions in your toolkit that you always lead with to kind of get things going. And if anything, you're putting it on them to start talking, and it's not you. Because I am introverted, and those public settings, when it's like 50 people and you only know a couple, is really, it's like, it immediately takes all my energy, if that makes sense.
I can absolutely see that. I never would have believed that you were an introvert, though. I wouldn't have believed that had you not told me.
Lots of work.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes you have to fake it until you get there, right? If you tell yourself something over and over and over again, you're going to end up believing it at some point. So, I'm brave, or I'm not an introvert. But I do think that, coming in with maybe some topics that you're comfortable speaking about, and you lead a conversation with those kinds of things, naturally conversations will evolve, and hopefully, you become more comfortable, like I said, to just kind of let your guard down and enjoy the environment, enjoy the opportunity to learn and meet new people from different walks of life and different industries. But I think sometimes networking in general can be awkward. I mean, it can be. You're thrown into a scenario, or a situation, and sometimes that can be awkward.
I think the key, though, like you said earlier, everybody feels the same way.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's
So,
right.
If you fight through the awkward, you're going to do the person next to you a favor by just breaking through the awkward. So I think another thing that people like, this goes for everybody, if you get into one of those huddles in a networking event, like it's some kind of happy hour or whatever, and you're just 3 people and you're closed, you just basically shut everybody else out, and they can't feel like they can join you. So just be mindful of how you're presenting, because if you want to meet other people, they're not going to do that. They're not going to break into your circle. They're going to feel like, oh, you're a clique, and guess you don't want to talk to people.
Absolutely. And, and it doesn't have to be your event, but work the room. I mean, if you were hosting a dinner party or, going to a friend's house or something of that nature, you're going to work the room. And it's making eye contact. It's a friendly gesture. It's, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in a long time. And there's a way to do that so that it is authentic and genuine. But I mean, seek out people throughout the room that maybe you do know or you recognize, or someone that you've seen and admired from afar, or, you know, I don't know, a TikTok crush, whatever the case may be. Look for those people in the room and make it a point to, you know, to kind of meander, and it just, I agree. It's just going to open you up for more exposure and being able to get more comfortable in that kind of scenario.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So like apartmentalize is takes so much of my energy, because you just walk in. I don't know any of these people. Because I process the visual environment, like all of it. And so I'm like, I've just had to learn, you know, and fake it as much as I can, you know? So, but I just want
an event that size can be daunting. I mean, no doubt. I mean, that absolutely can be a lot.
Yeah. So but the key is like push through, be courageous. Like you already said, I think it only helps you, and once you do it a few times, you'll work through that awkward, uncomfortable feeling, and it's like, yeah, it'll pass.
Agreed.
Yeah. So moving beyond that networking event and, you know, maybe those awkward moments, the next stage is taking the stage, and actually even maybe the two different things. The other thing that you brought up, and I'm on a board with our local association, WMFA, Washington Multifamily Housing Association. Always got to give them a plug.
WMFA.
That's right. So I just joined the board this year, and I've been a part of board meetings. And early on, you know, I was just observing, but trying to build up I guess, especially as a supplier partner in the room, build up the confidence to speak and share my, I guess, opinion and expertise in my thoughts amongst a room of people that I may or may not know. How is it that you would suggest people work through that? Because that was another thing you brought up, and that kind of a reason why you started Toastmasters.
Well, I mean, you know, you have to remember, and I don't know about all associations, but generally you're elected, right? You're elected by your peers, at least for the Charleston Apartment Association that you are. And so you're elected by your peers, the other members. And so, you know, people either recognize, or they've worked with you, they know you by reputation, or, you know, what have you. And so, you know, taking a position on a board of directors like this, and really, I guess with any other club, even if it's not an apartment association, you have to think that you're sitting in that seat for a reason, right? Mm. You're trusted, you're respected, your voice matters. Your opinion is valued, and so the others and the general membership are going to look to you to make sound contributions to all of those conversations that are going to be for the betterment of the association, its members, supporting our industry, all of that. And so I would just, you know, encourage you, and hopefully the mood and the vibe of the board is one that is welcome of different opinions and voices. And there's a way to, you know, to get your voice and your opinion across with being respectful, even if you're not popular, because I mean, I say a lot of things that are not popular, but I'm where I'm at for a reason, right? And so I would say, just, you know, come with that confidence that you've been elected and you have a job to do, and it's an important job, and your voice and your opinion matters. And don't be afraid to speak up, because that's why you're at that table. You know, to chime in, to opine, to challenge certain things that are happening or being discussed. And the general membership, they're looking to you with that responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really helpful, is like, just make sure you come with confidence. You're there for a reason. That's very good points for sure. Is there anything else that you could contribute, maybe from a tip standpoint, like organization of thoughts, or like maybe those tips you learn in Toastmasters that people don't realize, or, maybe they're simple, but you just don't think about?
Well, I think for me, like if I'm going to do an organized talk or if I'm going to train or teach on something, I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to put together an outline. There might be certain things that I know that I want to convey or certain, nuggets I want to make sure I leave behind, or if there's a go-to phrase that I know has been impactful, whether for me or in use at other times, I want to make sure that I share that. So I prepare in advance. If I have the opportunity, you don't always, but if I have the opportunity, prepare in advance kind of an outline on the different points and things that you want to get across and convey. Oftentimes when you're putting together a speech, there's an opening, there's the body, and then there's the closing. And there may or may not be a call to action at the end. And some of those kinds of things are to try and win your audience over, right? To help convince them to feel the same or to believe the same that you are. That's what a lot of TEDx's are about, or kind of the premise around a lot of those things. And so preparation, practice, don't be afraid to go on video. I think a lot of times we forget about that piece of it, and making sure that you're making eye contact with an audience and people at the table. If you're at the board of directors meeting and there's someone that and make it a point not to sit right next to them, right? Sit across from them or down the way from them where you can make eye contact, because maybe there's a conversation that is on the docket to be discussed that could get uncomfortable. And you want to be able to focus to that friendly or familiar face when you're talking, right? And maybe you have that conversation in advance. So I think, just kind of understanding the room and the environment, preparing ahead of time with an outline, being mindful of your body language. Oftentimes that's louder than any voice. And just, to appear approachable and to come as in calm of a demeanor as you can.
Yeah. And I guess in the case of a meeting that has an agenda and they prepare that and give it to you in advance, actually look at it.
Be prepared. I mean, definitely anything you can do to prepare in advance, I think is good. But I'll tell you, I mean, even some of the best presenters or speakers, some of my mentors could have a conversation probably about anything off the cuff. They don't appear to be frazzled. You might learn different afterwards, but I just think that the more times that you put yourself in that environment, the more comfortable in general you will become. And you'll be more aware of those things, like what not to do. I used to keep a list on my laptop. I'm telling a secret. And this actually started when I was in Toastmasters and kind of carried on into work. I had filler words and filler phrases. I used to say this, that, and the other. I used to say circle back. I used to say, oh gosh, now I can't remember. I don't have the sticky note anymore, but I put it on my laptop screen, and so that anytime I was on those calls, it was my visual not to say those words. And after time, they kind of left my vocabulary. But it was feedback. It was feedback from Toastmasters and feedback from one of my now mentors. She was my supervisor at the time. I asked for candid feedback after a client meeting. I said, what do I need to do different? What can I do to be better? And she said, you have some filler words. I'm like, oh. And she told me, I'm like, oh, Toastmasters told me some of those same things. So whatever I was doing before had not worked its way out. But, ask for feedback.
Yeah. No, and filler words and ums and ahs, it's tough. Well, I mean, so many people do it. I'll tell you, every time I edit my show, I found this fantastic software that I can put my content into, and it actually goes through and it picks out all the filler stuff. And between that and long, huge pauses, I usually can take out 10 minutes of time on a video or on one of my episodes. And it's that way regardless if they're a pro or it's just part of speaking. We do our best. But
It happens. Yeah. I mean, I've said a lot since we've been on our call. That
yeah,
was on my
it
list.
happens. Yeah, it's all good. When I record it, this will be magically gone. Don't worry about it.
I don't expect it to be perfect. I mean, if it was, then it's not authentic.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, it's not very human, right? Feels like you kind of, if it's perfect, that means you've given that same talk 50,000 times and you're not even thinking about it anymore. It's definitely not something that you haven't talked about before. If you can be perfect in the way you're delivering it.
Exactly.
So, and that can be kind of unapproachable and make it feel a little less human. So, I think imperfection is good. And
I embrace imperfection.
Well, and let's be serious. Things are getting so generated through AI and all this stuff that our humanity and our imperfectness will actually be what stands out now, right? And what you can identify that you actually did that versus that was generated by some program or something. So you'll stand out, right? It's not perfect, but they did it. And that's good. We need more humanity.
Yeah. In every area.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing those tips, because I think so many people struggle with each thing, right? Like speaking just in conversation and networking, little groups, and then in front of everyone. Those are all three different things that are all challenging. And I think I will give a tip as an introvert. If you go into a meeting and you don't pre-think through stuff or look at that agenda, and you don't have confidence in the specific topic, like off the cuff, I know for me, I have to process. So I won't have much to contribute because I didn't think about it in any capacity beforehand. So
absolutely agree.
You have to know yourself. And if you want to show up and stand out, you have to play to your strengths.
Absolutely.
We're all wired the way we're wired. It's not going to be a way to get around that, really. So do your best. Well, thanks for speaking on that. Was there anything else you wanted to share about that? Maybe what's your tentative topic for this TEDx
That I don't know yet.
Okay.
That I don't know yet. I've been playing around with a couple of ideas. I need to vet a couple of them with some close friends and colleagues. I don't know yet.
Okay.
It probably won't be anything industry related.
Sure. That would be boring. Don't do that. Can you talk a little bit more about centralization for me? I'm just kidding. Or AI. Let's get into AI. That'd be another. Everyone talking about those two topics. Yeah. Let's hear your opinion. Anyways, well, thanks for sharing, and I hope people get a few nuggets from that. And if you have anything you want to ask Wendy, I'm sure she'd be more than willing to talk to you about that topic and even help you find maybe these groups. MicDrop group, is that something that's everywhere, or is that local?
So a lot of major cities host in-person workshops and meetings. Like Charlotte has one, Raleigh-Durham has one. I think there's one or two in Atlanta. And I'm sure in other places across the country. That's just kind of my pocket, my world. But then if you live in a city where they don't have anything in person, then you're able to join these workshops virtually. And so absolutely, if anybody's interested in that, shoot me a message. I'll send you the links. There's a small membership fee if you want to go through the workshop, but there's only a time frame that you would be committed if you wanted to do the workshop. And if you just want some general information about that or other opportunities to help you be more confident in speaking, or looking for opportunities to speak at different places, hit me up. I'd be happy to share some of that with you too.
Yeah, and that's women. The MicDrop Club is
the MicDrop Club is for women. Yes,
Toastmasters. That's anybody.
Toastmasters is anybody, and the MicDrop Club's not just our industry. I mean, it's people from any walk, and like there was somebody from Belgium that was on one of the virtual workshops. So I mean, there's people from all over the world that are attending some of those things, and I'm sure that there's others that are designed. Other specific industries, or maybe just for men or young professionals and that kind of thing. This particular one I just tapped into for women.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you found it. Sounds like it's been good for you. And again, if you need help in that area or just want to get better, I mean, jump in. I probably would benefit from doing one of these things. I just torture myself every week and do things that I have no training in, like talking on the internet. So here we go.
I love that though, because that takes brave.
Oh gosh.
I mean, it does, and you've got,
it does.
I mean, I'm of the belief that a lot of the best rewards require some risk, and so absolutely step out of your comfort zone. I haven't colored in the lines in a long time, so you've got to step out of your comfort zone. Sometimes to the point where it's like really uncomfortable, and you have to do that to grow.
Yep, I've done this for over 3 years now. And anybody you knew or knew me prior to doing this would 100% say, he does what?
Love that though.
Yeah.
And that's a great conversation starter.
Yeah.
I mean, if you walk into a conference with your big boss necklace on, they're going to know who you are anyway. But I mean, that would be a good conversation starter. Have you ever seen boss moms?
Which I did do. That necklace behind me, that's big. So it seems small, but it's big. And I wore that in a ridiculous outfit. Wow.
I love it. That takes brave too. It takes a lot of brave.
It's fun. All right. Well, thanks for sharing on that. The next two things kind of go hand in hand, and that's about mentorship and pouring into others and team development. You are in the midst of really building something new, and you're going to be building a team and pouring into others, but you already have too. So what is it about that you love, and what do you find important?
I think that this is probably one of the things that I am most passionate about, and that's, identifying, talents and strengths of other people and helping, to cultivate that, to grow that, and to help those people understand what they contribute to a bigger group. And so definitely kind of goes hand in hand. But there's not much else that excites me like seeing somebody grow and flourish and thrive, and just come into their own and excel and all of that. But I do think it starts with, being able to help them understand what their talents and their strengths are, and really working to fine tune those. If there's something else that they're really passionate about, but maybe it's not their biggest strength, maybe there are ways to help pour into them in those areas so that they can grow and have, maybe a different perspective or a different impact on a group or a team setting. We're all part of a bigger whole, right? You're all looking for wins. I've said it so many times over the years, we're on the same team. We have different positions on the field. We wear the same jersey, that kind of thing, right? And so, understanding what people's contributions are to that team, I think is really, really very important. We can't all be quarterbacks. We can't all be running backs. I'm fine to carry the water to the field, right? I'll lace up shoes, whatever. Everybody has a part on the team. And so, and making room for others, right? Because there's going to be people that are going to come along that are going to have, a different experience or a different background, or maybe more honed in skills that could speak or do more proficiently on a particular area or a topic. move over and let them have that. And so, I all of that. And again, I'm just really very passionate about it. And I've said so many times too, to people on teams of mine and that I've worked with, that I will stand in front of you. I'll stand beside you, behind you, wherever you need me to stand to support you and help you get to where we want you to go, and so those kinds of things could be, sharing a book or a resource or a reference, something that helps tap into, explore this a little bit more. You are so good at this and you don't even believe it, but you're really so good at this. And so helping to give them resources and tools in that way, I think is really, really very important. And I think, standing with your people, they have to make some mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've made mistakes in the last 6 months. I mean, but I learn from those. And so, being able to take those experiences and learn from them is part of growth too. And so not that you would lead your people or people on a team the wrong way so they fail, but sometimes you shouldn't or can't intervene, right? Because they have to make those mistakes in order to learn and to grow. And providing that kind of safe environment, right, where they can make mistakes and you're still going to support them. And hopefully it's something that can be undone or fixed, right? If you see somebody going down a path on your team that's going to make like an egregious mistake or something, yeah, you want to intervene. But I mean, there are going to be times where you're going to have to let those people learn and then kind of redirect and go forward in maybe a different way. But it's like my mother said something to me not too long ago, and she said, carve a path and create a wake. And I said, oh, Mama, I like that. And and I thought, that's part of this conversation today. And so I think you lean on some of those things and helping to create a path, not just for yourself, but for others, right? Take obstacles out of the way, help create that path, and then watch them make a wake. And that builds people's confidence, right? Be able to tap into their own strengths and the things that they're passionate about and that they know that they could talk fluidly about or that they could do and they could present. That creates confidence. That's helping to build leaders.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you're in a new role with a new company. And like you said, I'm a company that's new to the conventional realm of I guess housing. And yes, you've worked in that space, but it doesn't mean you're going to still not make mistakes. And
absolutely.
And you're trying to make it work for an existing company and make it work within their framework. And I know CLS has a strong culture and a strong playbook. And how many pages is that bad boy? I know Erin.
Yeah. Mahone.
Yeah.
Love her. It's really exciting because in so many ways, the vertical that I'm responsible for, it's a startup. And so, I have been heads down, lots of buckets working. Everything is kind of critical and dependent on another task or function to be able to launch and ultimately lead this business vertical for our residential arm. CLS, we've recently rebranded, and the focus has been in the student space up until now, and they are excellent operators. And the average tenure with the company is like 8 years. It's crazy. You don't see that. And the culture's unlike anything I've seen in a very, very long time. I'm so stoked and excited to be part of that. But there is a lot of building of leaders, and there's an acceleration program that helps associates that aspire, to maybe move into another role, whether it's on site or in a corporate position. And so this acceleration program runs every year, and you have to be nominated. There's a whole vetting process, and it's to enrich their skill sets. It's to get them ready for the next step and the next seat. And so that's worked very, very well for the student business. And at some point we'll get there with the residential side, but when we start getting our first properties, I will be hiring from the outside because nobody that's there has worked on the conventional side. And so it's very exciting. Everybody's incredibly eager and passionate about expanding our business and our reach into the residential space. And I'm just here for it. It's been a great 8 or 9 weeks. I just started in June, but it's been a phenomenal start.
Well, that's great. And a big part of CLS is their hospitality aspect of their business.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What is it about that you're excited to bring into the conventional side of business?
We invested a lot with Forbes to really help develop a model that infuses hospitality into every single touch point, and not just with our customers, our residents, but with each other, right? And our vendor partners and our owners and our investors. And so it is literally infused into every single interaction, every single policy, every single process. And one of the things I've been charged with is helping to kind of write/rewrite policies and procedures for the residential side, because there's some very, very, very big differences in how the two verticals operate, let alone, we're going to be on different software systems, but there's differences. And so, making sure that we are still one company, right? And we are going to operate on the residential side exactly the way we operate with our customers, and the level of service we provide, the level of care we provide, and that our residents and clients on the residential side are going to have that same expectation. They're not going to know if they're on a student deal or if they're on a conventional deal. They will, of course, but because it is going to be the same fabric woven into everything that we do on the residential side. Nice.
Yeah. And how many points of service do you guys have?
55. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And some of them, that's kind of our secret sauce, but it's not something that some other companies haven't necessarily embraced. I think our founders were incredibly passionate about it, and, wanted kind of a formal education, if you will, and being able to incorporate those things that has made Forbes so successful in their space, that we wanted to bring that over into housing and management. And so, some of them are fairly basic customer service kind of things. But there are other things that are like, wow, that really is different. I got to sit through some of the hospitality training. I think it was my second or third week here. And on my little, notepad, I am just writing down so many notes, like, wow, oh gosh, we haven't done that before. Oh, I've not done that before. So there are some things that are certainly different, and that are exciting to be able to incorporate. And I think will, in a lot of ways, be differentiators for us on the residential space, just like it's proved success on the student side.
I don't discount the basics, right? Because I think too often we get lazy on the basics.
Yeah.
And I see, when you visit a community, when you call a community, so often this goes to my recent experience buying a car. When there's lack of consistency, when you don't have a playbook, when people don't know what the standards are, when they aren't expected to present themselves a certain way to a customer or a prospect, then you're doing a disservice. And if you don't measure it and can be consistent about it, you get a result.
That's right. That's right.
So, yeah, I just bought a car, and the guy I bought it from, he was great. I get it home, there was some issues, and then not so great anymore. Not him, but other people. Lack of consistency, So anyways, it matters. Everybody's got to be on the same page. same playbook, and then you have a better outcome.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what happens with you, with CLS Living, and what your first few communities are that you guys bring on. Now, are you guys going the route of purchasing those, or what's the owner operator model, or what's your plan?
Yes, just yes.
All of it?
I mean, we obviously we are pursuing some third party opportunities, but we will purchase. We've got some partners that we work with on the student space, and there are others that we're working on cultivating relationships with, and so we will buy when there's the right opportunities. And so it's exciting. We'll be doing some BTR deals and some traditional multifamily and maybe some active adult. So yeah, we'll span the gamut on the residential side. It'll be exciting to see.
Which is why you went with residential versus multifamily specifically.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, it's, we needed something that was going to catch and touch all of the things. It's not just apartments. We're providing housing, and it could be in one of these different kinds of things, but those will flow up underneath my vertical for the residential.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks
Absolutely.
to everybody that participated and added comments and cheered on Wendy. We really appreciate you guys being here. It's always fun to have an audience. And Wendy, thanks for saying yes to being on Boss Talks. I know you're less shy about these types of things, but it still takes saying yes, right? When somebody asks you for something like this. And so I appreciate it. And I don't think you'd done a live like this before. Video.
I've not done a live like this before. So this was new. I put on my brave. I was eating a little lunch earlier, and I'm like, put on your brave, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. And that means any of you watching in the audience and otherwise, jump on in. Come on over to me. Let's do it. Let's meet. Let's come up with some topics to talk about. It's all about your passions. Don't worry. You can be confident in that. So come my way. We'll make it happen. I'd love to have you as a guest. And it really does. It's a platform, Boss Talks. It's for everybody. Whether you're somebody on site, you're a leasing agent, you're young, you're old, it doesn't matter. I want everybody to contribute their knowledge, their expertise, their passions to the group. So we'll make it happen if you're willing and brave enough to do it. Hopefully some of these people watching they keep chiming in. I'm not even sure what they're saying at this point. But
I'm going to be pinging some people later.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for jumping on, and make sure you follow the LinkedIn page for Boss Talks and support those that are coming up and past guests as well. Go to our YouTube channel, Boss Talks, see all those past people, and jump in and follow it and support. Thanks for everybody that watched, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.